Hi, Lisa Broyles here with Way to Health MD, and I'm starting a new video series entitled Fact or Fiction, Creatine and Protein Powders. So what I'd like to do is give you the most recent research on creatine, protein powders, and other muscle building supplements. We'll discuss common myths and what the truth is. And I'm going to dive right in and start with creatine. So creatine is an amino acid. It's a form of protein. You can also get creatine from eating meat. So why is creatine so popular? Well, studies have shown that creatine increases muscle mass. So you can build more muscle faster if you're taking creatine with weightlifting. Okay, so this is the caveat here. If you think you're just going to take a powder of creatine and not exercise and your muscles are just going to get nice and firm, it's not going to happen. Okay, so studies have shown that taking creatine alone does not build muscle, does not build bone. However, if you are taking creatine and you are weightlifting at least 3 days a week, then yes, you can get an increase in bone mineral density. You can get an improvement in muscle mass. It's a great option for women that are going through what's called sarcopenia, aging men too. So as we age, we tend to lose muscle mass. So creatine is a great option to build muscle. So the first myth is, will you gain weight and water weight from being on creatine? The truth is, the first 3 days that you start creatine, you may feel a little bit more puffy. You are increasing your intracellular water because you need that to build muscle mass. However, that levels out as you're doing your weightlifting and continuing to take your creatine. After 7 days, the studies have shown there's no difference in the intracellular water compared to muscle mass. So as you're building muscle mass, yes, your intracellular water is going up, but we see them, you have to have that intracellular water to get that improvement in muscle mass. Okay, so long-term studies after those first few days, you're not going to be bloating with extra water. Okay, number 2, is creatine an anabolic steroid? The answer is no. Anabolic steroids are synthetic testosterone, synthetic androgen derivatives. That is not creatine. Androgens and synthetic steroids do increase muscle mass, and creatine does increase muscle mass, but they are not the same thing and they do it through different mechanisms, okay? Creatine actually increases intracellular ATP, intracellular energy, and that's how creatine actually helps you build muscle, whereas an anabolic steroid actually changes genetic expression to increase muscle building through increased testosterone production, okay? So the next thing is, does creatine cause kidney damage? Now this is one that even I thought was true, and the reason for this is because one of the most commonly used markers that doctors use to assess kidney function is called a creatinine, a urine creatinine. We can also check a blood creatinine, but typically a urine creatinine serum. So the truth is, creatinine levels do increase when you are supplementing with creatine, but it does not mean that there is worsened kidney function. So your glomerular filtration rate, the rate at which your kidneys filter blood, is actually not changed being on creatine, but you may see a slight increase in creatinine levels in blood or urine simply because you are supplementing with creatine, but that does not mean there's any kidney damage. Now, they don't recommend that you be on extra creatine, especially at high doses over 5 grams a day, if you have pre-existing kidney disease. So if you have diabetes with significant glomerulonephritis or kidney disease, lupus with severe kidney damage, then creatine's not a great supplement for you. But for healthy adults and aging adults that don't have any kidney disease, yes, you can safely take creatine. The last one I'm going to address during this video is, do you get hair loss on creatine? So you do get a slight increase in testosterone production when you lift weights. Okay, so there was one study that showed an increase in DHT, which is the potent form of testosterone that can increase your hair loss because of increased DHT levels from weightlifting. And the people that were in the study were on creatine and weightlifting, and yes, they saw an increase in your testosterone levels. But does creatine by itself increase testosterone levels? The answer is no. Only the weightlifting does. So yes, you may have slightly increased hair loss with increased testosterone levels just from working out, but that's not directly from the creatine. So tune in to my next video where we will address more myths about creatine and other protein powders.